3 years ago, my doctor told me I might need a second blood pressure medication. My knees had given up on stairs. I was forgetting the names of people I'd known for decades. I was 62 years old and I felt 80. The fix cost me nothing. $0. And it was sitting in my kitchen tap the entire time. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you took me 65 years to figure out, and I don't want you to wait that long. Well, hello there. My name is Arthur Pemberton. I'm 65 years old, originally from Manchester, England, and I've been living here in the States, just outside of Austin, Texas, for the past 22 years. Now, I know what you're thinking. Arthur, you're English. Surely you drink tea all day. And yes, I do love a good cup of tea. But today, I want to talk to you about something far more powerful than tea. Something that changed my life at 65. And it's this, right here in my hand. Water. Plain, simple water. I know. It sounds almost ridiculous, doesn't it? You've heard it 1,000 times. Drink more water. But I promise you, and I'm not the sort of man who makes promises lightly. What I'm about to share with you is not just advice, it's my story. 3 years ago, I was tired. Not had a long day tired. I mean bone deep, can't quite shake it tired. My knees ached. My mind felt foggy. My digestion was, shall we say, temperamental. I thought, well, this is it then. This is what getting old feels like. But I was wrong, so grab yourself a glass of water. Go on, I'll wait, and let's have a proper conversation. Now, I want to be honest with you before I go any further. I am not a doctor. I am not a nutritionist. I am a retired mechanical engineer from Manchester who spent 40 years solving problems with logic and completely ignored the most obvious problem in front of me. If I, an engineer, missed this, I suspect I'm not alone. Before I tell you what changed, let me explain something that my doctor here in Austin, brilliant man Dr. Martinez, explained to me quite clearly. When we're young, our bodies are roughly 65% water. But as we age, and I mean once we pass 60, that percentage drops, closer to 50, sometimes even lower. So we're starting with a disadvantage already. Here's the cruel twist. The older we get, the less we feel thirsty. Our kidneys become less efficient at sending that drink something signal to the brain. So you can be genuinely dehydrated, what Americans call running on empty, and not even feel it. Back in England, we used to joke that tea counts as hydration, and technically yes, it does to some extent. But tea also has a mild diuretic effect, so does coffee. And I was drinking 4 cups of coffee a day here in Texas, because that's what you do when you live in America. You adopt their habits along with their enthusiasm. The point is, I thought I was fine. I wasn't. Dr. Martinez put it brilliantly. He said, Arthur, your body at 65 is like a car engine running low on coolant. Everything still works, but everything works harder than it should. That image stuck with me. So I decided to do something about it. The first change happened where I least expected it. Not in my energy, not in my mood, in my knees. And when I tell you what was actually happening inside those joints, you'll never look at a glass of water the same way again. I used to love hiking. The Texas Hill Country is absolutely stunning, by the way. If you haven't been, I highly recommend it. But about 2 years before I started my water routine, I'd essentially given up hiking. My knees were protesting every step. I blamed age. I blamed the Texas heat. I blamed the fact that I'd played football. Soccer, as they insist on calling it here, for most of my 20s and 30s. What I didn't know is that cartilage, the cushioning between your joints, is roughly 80% water. When you're dehydrated, that cartilage essentially dries out. It becomes less effective at absorbing impact, and you feel it. Every step, every staircase, every morning when you get out of bed. 2 months after I committed to drinking 8 glasses of water a day. Proper glasses, not just sips. I went on a short hike, just 4 miles, and I came home and sat down and thought, that was fine. That was actually quite fine. My wife Patricia, she's from Houston originally, she noticed before I did. She said, "Arthur, you're moving differently," and I was. I want to be clear, water is not a miracle cure. If you have arthritis, please see your doctor. But hydration is one of the cheapest and most overlooked ways to support your joints. And at 65, every bit of support matters. Now I need to pause here and tell you something I've never said out loud before. My father had dementia, and when I started forgetting names, colleagues I'd worked with for 20 years, I didn't think I'm dehydrated. I thought it's starting. I was terrified, and I was wrong. But I didn't know that yet. If you've ever had that fear, even for a second, please keep watching. I retired from engineering 3 years ago, and I'd noticed, quite uncomfortably, that my sharpness had faded. I'd walk into a room and forget why I was there. Names of colleagues I'd known for years would suddenly escape me mid-sentence. I'd sit down to read and find myself rereading the same paragraph 4 times. Now, I'm not going to tell you water prevents dementia. That would be irresponsible and untrue. But here's what the research does show. Even mild dehydration, losing just 2% of your body's water, measurably affects concentration, short-term memory, and mental processing speed. 2%, that's not dramatic dehydration. That's just a normal afternoon without drinking enough. The brain is approximately 75% water. When it's not adequately hydrated, signals between neurons slow down. It's a bit like a slow internet connection. Everything still loads, but it takes longer and sometimes crashes. When I began drinking water consistently throughout the day, not all at once but steadily, the fog began to lift. Within 3 weeks, I was noticeably sharper. I started doing crosswords again. I started writing again, and that felt extraordinary. My grandson, he's 9, obsessed with American football. Much to my mild disappointment, he said, "Grandpa, you're better at trivia now." High praise from a 9-year-old. Now we're about halfway through, and I promise you, the 2 things I haven't covered yet are the ones that surprised me most. One of them my doctor noticed before I did. The other one my grandson pointed out. Stick around. Now this next topic is one the British are famously private about. But we're among friends here, so I'll be candid. Digestion. Moving to America introduced me to many wonderful things. The generosity of people, the scale of everything, the extraordinary barbecue, but American portion sizes and my aging digestive system did not always agree with each other. Constipation, bloating, irregularity, these became quiet but persistent companions after 60. I tried fiber supplements. I tried prunes, which I highly recommend regardless, they're excellent. But things only truly improved when I addressed the water. Here's the simple biology. Your large intestine absorbs water from food waste to form stool. When you're dehydrated, it pulls more water than it should, and the result is hard, difficult to pass stools. It's uncomfortable, it's draining, literally, and it affects your energy and your mood. When water intake increases, the whole system becomes more fluid, no pun intended. Things move more naturally. Bloating reduces. You feel lighter, more comfortable in your own body. Within 2 weeks of proper hydration, this problem largely resolved itself. I mention this because I know it affects so many people our age, and no one talks about it. Well, I'm talking about it. There, said it. I'll be honest, this next one I almost cut from the video. Because a 65-year-old Englishman talking about his skin feels faintly ridiculous. But Patricia made me keep it in. And she's usually right. So here we go. The Texas sun is relentless. I'd lived here for over 2 decades, and my skin showed it. Dry, dull, a bit leathery around the edges if I'm honest. I assumed that was just the climate, combined with age. What I didn't appreciate is that skin cells need water to maintain their integrity. Dehydrated skin loses elasticity. It becomes more prone to flaking, more lined, more tired looking. No amount of moisturizer can fully compensate for internal dehydration. You're treating the symptom, not the cause. After a consistent few months of proper hydration, people started commenting. A colleague from my old firm visited and said I looked well. My doctor mentioned my skin tone had improved at my annual checkup, and I caught myself not dreading the mirror quite as much in the mornings. I'm not suggesting water is the fountain of youth. We are 65, and we look it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a difference between looking 65 and feeling it. Water helps you look the better version of 65. Now this one is serious, and I want you to pay attention. At 63, I was diagnosed with mildly elevated blood pressure. Nothing catastrophic, but enough that Dr. Martinez prescribed a low-dose medication and said, "Arthur, we need to watch this." What many people don't know is that dehydration directly affects blood pressure. When you're low on fluids, your blood becomes slightly more viscous, thicker. Your heart has to work harder to pump it. Over time, this contributes to higher blood pressure readings. Furthermore, the kidneys, which regulate blood pressure through a complex hormone system, require adequate hydration to function properly. When dehydrated, the kidneys release hormones that cause blood vessels to constrict. Blood pressure rises. Drinking enough water supports kidney function, helps regulate blood viscosity, and eases the strain on your cardiovascular system. Now, I want to be absolutely clear. Do not stop your medications because you're drinking more water. Please don't do that. But speak with your doctor about hydration as part of your overall cardiovascular health plan. In my own case, my blood pressure readings became more consistently stable after I committed to proper hydration. My doctor was pleased. I was relieved. Kidney stones are another concern at our age. I had one at 58. Extraordinarily painful. I'd rather not repeat the experience. Adequate water intake is one of the most effective preventive measures against kidney stone formation. Simple, cheap, and remarkably effective. Right. Now here's the part I wish someone had given me 3 years ago. Not the science. You've had the science. The actual, practical, daily system I use. 6 specific things, in order. If you do nothing else from this video, do these 6 things. And if you want to remember them, this might be a good moment to pause and grab something to write with. First, the morning ritual. Before I have my tea, and yes, the tea still happens, I'm not a savage. I drink 2 full glasses of water. I fill them the night before and leave them on the kitchen counter. No thinking required in the morning. It's just what I do. Second, link it to something you already do. I take medication every morning. Every single tablet goes down with a full glass of water, not a sip. That's already 1 glass before breakfast. Third, keep water visible. Out of sight, out of mind. This is genuinely true. I have a large glass pitcher on my kitchen counter. I have a proper glass on my desk. When I can see it, I drink it. When it's hidden in the fridge, I forget. Fourth, make it enjoyable. I add sliced cucumber and lemon to my pitcher. Very English, I know. Very Wimbledon. and it genuinely makes water something I look forward to, rather than something I force down. Patricia has taken to adding mint. Both work beautifully. Fifth, use the American approach. Americans are brilliant at tracking things. There are excellent apps. I use one called Waterminder that simply remind you to drink. Set 4 or 5 reminders throughout the day. It feels slightly absurd at first, but it works. Sixth, be patient with yourself. The goal is 8 glasses per day, roughly 2 liters. If you're just starting, don't try to get there overnight. Start with 4, build to 6, then 8. Your body will adjust, and so will your kidneys. You won't be running to the bathroom quite as dramatically after the first few weeks. So, let me ask you honestly, how much water have you had today? If the answer is not much or I'm not sure, then I hope this conversation has been useful. I am 65 years old. I moved from Manchester to Texas more than 2 decades ago. I've adapted to many things: the heat, the highways, the inexplicable popularity of country music, and 3 years ago I adapted to something far simpler: drinking enough water. The result? My knees work better. My mind is clearer. My digestion is reliable. My skin looks more like I'd like it to. My blood pressure is more stable. And I'm hiking the hill country again. None of this required expensive equipment. No supplements, no specialist, just water. Consistently, every day. 65 is not the end of anything. It's not a sentence. It is, as I've come to understand it, an opportunity to take better care of the body that has carried you this far. And the most British advice I can possibly give you is this: put the kettle on, fine, but fill up a proper glass of water first. Before you go, one question, and I genuinely want to know the answer. What's stopping you from drinking more water? Is it that you forget? Is it that you don't like the taste? Or is it, and this is the one I hear most often, that you simply don't believe it will make a difference? Tell me in the comments, because whatever your reason is, I probably had the same one, and I may have a solution. And if this video helped even one person, share it, because someone in your life right now is tired, achy, and foggy, and they have no idea why. Cheers.